Hello and welcome back to the deep dive. Our mission here is pretty simple. We take complex source material and we distill it down. We want to find the essential, actionable knowledge inside. And today, we are immersing ourselves in a concept that is, well, it's truly counterintuitive.
It really is.
It's this mindset where difficulty, real hardship, actually seems to fuel generosity. We're diving into what our source material calls the grace of giving.
That's a perfect way to frame it. Our main source is this really powerful devotional reflection from a pastor show. And it anchors itself in a very famous piece of scripture, 2 Corinthians 8.
Right.
But what I think elevates this material, beyond just a simple theological discussion, is how he connects that ancient text to these modern, high-stakes, real-world stories.
So we're not just talking theory.
No, not at all. We're looking at specific documented cases of small churches navigating severe economic crisis.
Wow.
And at the same time, committing to these huge, ambitious financial projects.
This isn't just, some theoretical advice about how to budget better. This is a deep dive into commitment when all the odds are stacked against you.
Exactly. It's about a total refusal to let your financial environment dictate your spiritual action.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Our goal here is to really understand the precise mental and spiritual calculation where financial difficulty just stops being a valid excuse for holding back.
Yeah.
We want to see how this kind of, radical dedication plays out in community life and what surprising principles we can maybe pull from those real-life case studies.
Well, the core premise is all about internal transformation. The sources argue that once you've genuinely experienced grace, the difficult circumstances of your life almost become irrelevant to the act of giving.
It changes the whole equation.
Completely changes the equation. You move from I can't afford to give to I can't afford not to give, which leads us directly to the great paradox that starts this whole conversation.
The Macedonian churches.
Macedonian churches.
Our source points to them as the primary historical example. They're the perfect embodiment of this paradox because they didn't just give from their surplus, they gave from a place of desperation.
And that passage is, it's utterly shocking when you really read it because it highlights the specific terrible conditions they were facing.
It's not vague.
No. He says they were undergoing great trial and were in deep poverty. This isn't, we're having a tough quarter. This was subsistence living, maybe even below it. This is not the context where you expect a fundraiser to succeed.
And yet, the result described is almost unbelievable. Despite the trial, despite the deep poverty, they displayed a fullness of joy, a joy that led to overflowing generosity. Most people, even people of faith, would logically assume that deep poverty just mandates a total financial retreat. But for them, it was the opposite. It was a surge. What makes this example so radical?
Well, what stands out to me is the mechanism of the giving. It wasn't prompted, it wasn't urged, they weren't guilted into it. The reflection stresses that they actively, repeatedly, and earnestly requested the opportunity to participate.
They were asking to give.
Think about that for a second. People in deep poverty were begging to be allowed to part with what little they had. That just contrasts so sharply with the reluctance many communities face today.
It completely reframes giving. It's not a burdensome requirement. It becomes this genuine privilege, something they were anxious to be a part of.
Yes. It suggests the inner transformation was so complete that they prioritized participation over their own physical security.
Wow.
And this brings us to that crucial discussion on enthusiasm. The source warns against giving a cold calculation of results.
What does that mean exactly?
It means you shouldn't just view it as a pragmatic, results-oriented investment you make when the economy is strong. It argues that giving has to flow from a passionate enthusiasm.
So it's an internal response.
It's an internal response to an unseen relationship, not just an entry in a ledger.
That distinction between the internal enthusiasm and the external calculation it's perfectly captured by that little nugget of humor Pastor Hughes shares. The anecdote about the church member who was complaining.
A wretched church member, yes, who confessed that his pastor told him to give until it hurts, but he hurts just thinking about giving.
A feeling I think many of us can relate to, right? Especially when you're balancing a tight budget. But that little story, it perfectly illustrates the difference in mindset.
It really does.
The Macedonians felt joy despite the real tangible pain of giving from their poverty. This other member felt pain just at the idea of giving, and likely from a position of, relative security.
It's the difference between a spirit of abundance and a spirit of scarcity, and it has nothing to do with your actual bank balance.
Exactly, and the source really emphasizes that the decision to be generous is fundamentally independent of the current economic environment. And this principle is what we see tested in more contemporary history.
Right, here's where it gets really interesting. We move from ancient scripture to the challenges of the 20th century.
Yeah.
Pastor Hu shares a story referencing the experiences of the well-known author and pastor Warren Wiersbe.
During his very first pastorate, right?
The very first one. The church desperately needed to build a new chapel.
And just like the Macedonians, the timing was just terrible.
The local economy was facing immediate catastrophe, and that became the primary argument used by dissenting members to kill the whole construction plan.
And they weren't being unreasonable. I mean, they had specific financial threats looming over them.
Absolutely. The sources lay out three major obstacles hitting the community all at once. First, a large planned strike at the local steel plant.
A huge employer.
Massive. Second, the rolling mill, another major employer, was preparing to shut down completely. And third, the critical railroad infrastructure was having severe ongoing problems.
So you've got strikes, shutdowns, infrastructure failure.
It was a perfect storm. Potential mass layoffs, strikes. Building a large, expensive church under those conditions would be considered reckless by any modern financial advisor.
Of course. The consensus must have been, this is absolutely the wrong time. We have to wait for stability.
That was the logical argument. But the key decision was based on this grace of giving mindset. Despite the tangible, quantifiable risk unemployment across the entire congregation, enough people chose to move forward.
And they proceeded with construction.
They did. And the new chapel was successfully built.
And the source material explicitly points out that the construction happened while those very strikes and stoppages were unfolding.
Yes. This is where we should probably pause and just reflect on the audacity of that decision. I mean, was this just pure faith, or was there maybe a touch of foolish optimism?
That's a necessary tension, isn't it? I mean, if you're acting against all the market forecasts, how do you distinguish between incredible faith and simple recklessness?
Well, the source material would suggest the difference is the source of the motivation. Recklessness is often rooted in ignoring reality for personal gain. This giving was rooted in communal grace and dedication. And the successful outcome, the fact that they built a chapel, is used to argue that the grace of giving means actively choosing to disregard those negative environmental factors.
You act based on commitment and conviction, not just on financial stability.
Precisely.
That idea that commitment can override economic logic, that transitions perfectly into the specific modern case study that Pastor Hu shared from his own career.
Right. For 35 years, Pastor Hu served Beipu Church.
35 years.
Which makes him the perfect long-term witness to this community's commitment. And their situation, it really echoed Wiersbe's. Beipu was geographically remote, and the members, like the Macedonians, faced significant economic hardship.
And yet they undertook this massive, potentially crippling building project for a new church in 1998. The sheer scale of the finances here is, this is what makes it a deep dive topic.
It really is.
For a small, remote congregation, the total construction budget was a staggering $12 million.
Okay, now remember, this is a small, remote church serving maybe 50 people.
50.
A 12 million unit construction budget is just monumental. But here is the critical data point. The members committed, and through their commitment, they unlocked external support.
That's the astonishing part. The sources say $8 million of that $12 million came from external support, from outside groups, individuals, other churches.
Right, which raises this fascinating question about reciprocity and trust, doesn't it? How does a small, remote church with very limited resources attract 2/3 of its budget from the outside?
Yeah, how?
It suggests that their internal non-economic commitment, their willingness to step out in faith, created this trustworthy reputation that then attracted massive external confidence.
That makes a lot of sense. Their commitment wasn't just about their own money. It was about showing they were worthy of investment from others.
And the financial result is truly remarkable.
It is. The construction was completed and dedicated on June 26, 1999, without incurring any debt or borrowing whatsoever.
Zero debt. That debt-free result is used by Pastor Hu as the ultimate evidence that the funds were, as he says, prepared by God. But we also see his own long-term commitment reflected here. He wasn't just managing a budget, he was building a community.
And his experience really illustrates the long game of dedication. He arrived in 1991, and over 3.5 decades, he transitions from being this younger son figure to an elder generation figure. We're talking about 35 years of dedicated personal investment.
And that transformation highlights that dedication is so much more than just writing a check. It's the dedication of self over time. It's evolving into a position of long-term stewardship and care.
Right.
And if we look at the broader definition of dedication offered by the source, this commitment of self is just as important as the money.
That is the perfect point to pivot, because the source material really demands we look beyond the offering plate to understand what true dedication even is.
Yes. Giving as a response to grace has much broader channels.
So what are they?
Well, the material stresses 3 ways this dedication flows out. Obviously, financial resources like tithing are essential. But equally important is the dedication of self.
So becoming a leader, or
choosing to become a formal leader, a minister, an elder, a co-worker in the community, yes. And third, cultivating the proper mindset of being a good and faithful servant and steward of the kingdom.
That foundational stewardship mindset seems to be what created long-term financial stability for Beipu. I mean, despite remaining a small, remote church, still only around 50 members, they are now financially stable.
Purely because the members observe that commitment to tithing.
It's a compelling model of responsible management under duress, isn't it?
It is. The source describes this critical balance they strike. They are frugal where they can be. They meticulously avoid unnecessary expenses. They don't waste resources.
But that calculated frugality isn't paired with a stingy spirit.
Not at all.
It's the means by which they can then strive to be generous and abundant in their mission and their charity. So they save tightly so they can give broadly.
And they have set very specific, very aggressive goals for this outward generosity. Every December, leading up to Christmas, Beipu Church conducts a major annual outreach.
And they don't just pick one cause.
No, they donate to a whole spectrum of needs. We're talking theological institutions, local hospitals, nursing homes.
Like the center they support in the area.
Exactly. Foreign missions, other groups in need. It's a really comprehensive outreach effort.
And their dedication target is just extraordinarily high for a church their size. They aim to dedicate a full 10% of their entire annual budget to external giving.
1/10 of everything they receive goes right back out the door to help others.
That 10% target is, according to the source, their way of actively reciprocating the love and the external support that was shown to them during their own building crisis back in '98.
It's beautiful symmetry. They freely received that crucial $8 million, and now they are ensuring that that grace flows outward to others.
It really ties the whole story together so well. It shows that the Macedonian mindset isn't just some ancient history. It's a repeatable formula for community success.
We've seen that radical giving is independent of economic stress, right? We have the paradox of Macedonia and the high-risk scenario of Wiersbe's pastorate.
And we've seen that true dedication involves self and time and finance, which is exemplified by Beipu's remarkable debt-free construction and their current model of aggressive external giving.
So, what does this whole deep dive mean for you, the listener? You know, navigating your own workplace, your own household budget, your own community demands.
Well, the source material ends by pushing this idea of giving beyond the financial spreadsheet. It connects it directly to everyday, small acts of goodness.
So it's about applying this mindset immediately.
Immediately, not just annually. And this raises a really important question. Where is the true test of this grace found?
Where is it?
The final provocative thought connects this whole mindset back to the idea of forgotten acts of goodness. The source material points to the Gospel of Matthew, suggesting the ultimate test of this grace isn't in a massive public donation, but in the small things you do, seemingly without notice. Acts that the giver forgets as soon as they're done.
Yes, but which are, in fact, the most genuine response to the grace they've received.
Wow.
It's about more than the charity budget. It's more than a capital campaign. It's about how you treat others in the small moments. Alleviating an anxiety, offering a word of comfort to a coworker, giving a genuine greeting.
Or just showing true, unprompted regard for people you interact with daily.
Exactly. Those deeds, done for the smallest of people.
Yeah.
That's where the grace of giving truly manifests in daily life. It implies that every single interaction is a small opportunity for radical generosity.
That is a profound way to apply these insights. And it's worth remembering, too, that the source material was originally shared on Pastor Hu's birthday.
Which makes the entire theme of gratitude and self-dedication exceptionally potent, doesn't it?
It really does.
So we'd encourage you to reflect on the core questions posed in the original reflection, carrying these case studies in mind. What reasons do you hear most often? Or maybe give yourself for not giving?
That's a tough one.
How does this concept of radical giving relate to grace in your own life? And maybe, what 3 adjectives would you use right now to describe your genuine attitude toward generosity?
Excellent questions for reflection as you carry this knowledge forward. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the grace of generosity in the face of hardship.
My pleasure.
We'll see you next time.